Hey everyone, and thanks again for watching. Welcome back for another Newcastle Yacht Club Racing League video. Today we're featuring a Thursday night race league we had on July 14th. This particular race we did have southwesterly winds, which is pretty typical for Lake Ontario. They were blustering on average about 60 knots, sometimes with blusters up to 30 knots. We had a lot of fetch on Lake Ontario that day, meaning there's a lot of distance between the southwest shore of Lake Ontario to where we actually have our race course. So the waves were quite high, typically 1 meter building to 2 meters during the race, but certainly added to a lot of the fun and skills needed in order to compete. The race started with 5 boats going out on the water. 2 retired before the start of the race, so we only had 3 of us out there for the entire duration. The course was a start at the north mark to the south mark and then over to the east mark. So we did a triangle, and we did that twice to complete the race, and so let's get started. So at the start of a race, we like to get out on the course about 10 to 15 minutes before the start. This gives us an opportunity to shake out the sails, test the wind angle, wind speed, and see if we need to reduce the amount of canvas we have up. So here we are at the start of the race with about 30 seconds to go. We decided to do a starboard tack towards the start line, which was the opposite of our 2 competitors. We had the right idea, however, unfortunately at this point, although we caused Patricia, as you can see here, to alter her course, the wind direction did not allow us actually on this tack to get through the start mark, simply because we just couldn't point high enough in order to get through. So you can see actually straight ahead of us the start mark, which again, with the amount of sea state there were, we were just unable to actually point high enough to make that mark. So while we were tacking onto our port side to get through the start line, not only were we already behind, but we ended up getting a jib sheet wrapped around a halyard winch on our mast, which caused us to basically stop dead in the water as my crew ran up forward to release the sheet before we could tighten in the sails. So as you can see, we certainly didn't have our greatest start of the season. However, it's always good to have these experiences just to help you learn from them, and that way moving forward you'll have that experience to draw on. So here we are shortly after a rough start. We actually had a really nice crossing with Patricia, which is a Tanzer 7.5. As you can see here, it got a little exciting, and we got a really nice shot of her as we passed by her stern. So at this point in the race, with Patricia just behind us off our stern, we were actually on our second leg around the barrels. We were approaching the south mark, and as you can see here, with the sun in the foreground and the large waves we were beating into, We were having a hard time locating the south mark. So once we were able to find the south mark, we rounded about 5 boat lengths ahead of Patricia. So now it was a downwind leg to the east mark before heading to the finish line, and we decided to do a broad reach. Now on this leg, as you can see by my diagram here, we did make an error in that we held our broad reach course, whereas Patricia smartly blanketed her foresail headed directly downwind right at the mark, surfing the waves, and had enough speed and a perfect angle to actually cut us off and take our position right on the last leg. So we ended up coming in last place of the 3 boats, but we definitely had a great time and learned a lot of new skills. One of which was the conditions were so rough that we decided actually to keep the mainsail up as we entered our channel at Newcastle. Reason being the waves were rolling quite substantially, and it just gave us a lot more cutting power through those waves before we got into some calmer waters. So. Well everyone, I thank you again for watching. I encourage you to subscribe for future content, as well as if you'd like to check out our Facebook page and give us a like. You'll be notified of future content. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.